What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to go over one of the topics for the week. This is the distance formula, and it answers the key question: how do you find the distance between 2 points? So we're trying to find the length of this line, which is essentially the distance. And so one of the ways we could do that is by using the distance formula. So the first step in using the distance formula is to identify the coordinates. Okay, you have A and B are the two endpoints, and the coordinates of A are 2, 2, and the coordinates of B are 3, 4. So, and by identifying those, you label them using X and Y coordinates. So if I label this first coordinate, I'm going to call that X sub 1 because it represents the first coordinate. And then that means this other 2 would be the Y sub 1. And then the coordinates for B, this 3 is an X coordinate, but it's the second X coordinate. And then 4 is the second Y coordinate. And it makes no difference which one you call coordinate 1 or 2. I could flip-flop these as long as I keep them as an ordered pair. Okay, the second phase in using the distance formula, after you identify the coordinates, is to write or use the distance formula. So since we're trying to find the distance from A to B, and A and B are coordinates, remember we list those as capital letters, you're trying to find the distance from A to B, and you would write it like this: from A to B. The distance formula, I'll write it, is as follows. It is the square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. The next step is to substitute the variables of the coordinates that you're using into the formula. So in this scenario, I'm just going to rewrite the square root over the whole thing here. I'm going to take and fill in what I can that remains the same, so that all of that part stays the same. You have your parentheses and it's raised to a power of 2. So x sub 2 is 3 minus x sub 1, okay, so you're minus positive 2. Y sub 2 would be 4 minus y sub 1 would be 2. And then you simplify using the order of operations. Again, we're still finding the distance from A to B, distance from A to B. Okay? So then when I simplify inside the parentheses, I get the square root of 1 squared plus 2 squared. Continue to use the order of operations. This can be simplified. Remember, when you square a number, it makes it positive. So 1 squared would just be 1, plus 2 squared would be 4. Simplify underneath the root. AB. 1 plus 4 is 5. So the distance from A to B is the square root of 5. If you simplify that into radical form, it stays as root 5. If you put it into decimal form, it is roughly 2.24. So, first step, identify the coordinates. Second step, use the distance formula. Follow all the order of operations. Leave your solutions. Unless it tells you to write it as a decimal, you always leave it in radical form because that's more exact.